All right, we are live on YouTube as well because we can only handle 100 members here. And I'll just send across the link. Pradeep, you can put it on our WhatsApp groups.
Yeah,
People are not able to join here. Yeah.
great.
All right. All right. We'll start, Pradeep.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to start recording. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. As you know, we'll be opening up the community for a larger audience on March 1st, but we really wanted to touch base with the existing community members to understand and showcase like what we are planning. So, as a prelude, like what we would like to do is talk about what we have done in 2020, like most edtech companies or any edtech startup, like we were experimenting a lot, and community as such, a term has been abused really, at least in the tech field. So, how we define community and why it's important to look at it that way. So, those are things that we'll be discussing today. So, I'm going to start with a quick video of a summary video of what we have done in 2020. Let's quickly watch that and then we'll get into the other agenda. All right, here we go. All right. So that quickly really summarizes what we have done and experimented basically, like most research organizations. Like we started with a bunch of people. We were like, okay, so what do we do about this? A bunch of quantum enthusiasts that like were struggling to find out a framework to put the knowledge, at least in their head. A mental model was missing in terms of where what fits in. Like you can learn different tools like your quiz kits and your Q shops, but then what's the real use case of that? And we have always been trying to figure out use cases and structure our learning mostly on use case based learning, and we have evolved like as you have seen. So we'll talk about three clear value propositions as a community we have now organized ourselves into. The first one is you get to meet people, and it's not that it's difficult to meet people, but meeting the right set of people in the right set of environment. Now that's difficult. So when I mean right set of people, it really comes down to people who are willing to be consistent, and we have seen this over the last year where like people who start off with like a lot of enthusiasm, and like over a period of time it kind of dwindles away. So that's one set of people, and then like the next set of people, like they start off really slow, but then like they're very consistent. And what we have seen, and most of you would agree with that, is consistency beats the short burst of productive or productive sprints. So, having the right set of people, which means now we have to set aside some kind of filter to make sure the right set of people come to us. So, that also involves like two prongs. So, one is what kind of people that we are, like what's the space that we are setting. So, when we were researching about the kind of spaces or the learning spaces that has to be set, it really boils down to something called a safe enough space. So, a safe space, it's it's not really conducive for a learning environment, because a safe space is where like you're not judged, you're allowed to do anything, you're allowed to say anything, which kind of works well for a therapy session or a therapy related groups, but then it doesn't really work for a learning environment. So safe enough is a new term where what it means is like you're allowed to experiment, you're allowed to break things, you're allowed to commit mistakes in a safe space, but there's going to be someone who is going to nudge you in the right direction when you're going to be committing the same mistakes again and again. And without that, we cannot grow. So meeting the right set of people in the right set of environment, which is the safe enough space that we are talking about. So that's the first clear value proposition that we as a community are offering. So that's one. The second thing really boils down to learning, because we are all here to learn, and this is such a new field. Things are changing really, really fast. Like one of the reasons why we started this Q Bytes, if you have seen our social media, which is essentially a short form version of what's happening in the quantum computing world for 1 week time frame. So we take all the different news articles, we kind of summarize it, and then we put it out for easy consumption. And we have a very talented set of team that's working on that. And so what I'm essentially trying to say is the learn has to happen not just from external knowledge but also internally. So internally, like we are doing it in two different paths. So the first path is called learning circle. So learning circle is where people with like just starting out in a particular field, so it could be quantum machine learning, quantum cryptography, you band together or come together as a small team, and then like on Discord we create a private channel for this team, and this team essentially is, puts together the resources, curates the resources, and then the activities that's involved for them to grow over a period of time. So that's on the learning circle part. And the second part is fellowship. But before we move into the fellowship component, I want Bhumika here. Bhumika, who is, I'm going to let her introduce herself, like one of the smartest kids that I know, and a long time member of our community. So she and Damodran are going to be curating the quantum machine learning circle. So she's going to take us through the process that we have set. And over to you, Bhumika. You're muted.
Hi, I hope I'm audible right now.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes.
Awesome. So, hi, my name is Bhumika. I'm a high school junior, 11th grader from Ujjain in India. Essentially, I have been a part of QCI for a long time. I began as a student at fellowship, the QC, like the QML fellowship, and then I joined the community builder group. So I'll be going you through the learning circle. Essentially, learning circles are just these personalized spaces where learners are teachers and teachers are learners. So students learn from each other and they create their own learning paths. Why a learning circle? It's because right now we're at a phase where information is freely available everywhere, and learning in a community with discussion is really scarce. That is why a learning circle can really improve our learning abilities. um, why a learning circle? Essentially, since ancient times, pedagogy has been going, like, pedagogy is a method where there's one teacher and there's only one way transmission of knowledge. But later on, discussions improved and we moved to andragogy. But right now, we're at a phase where the teacher is a learner and everybody is learning at their own paces, and there's no age limit for learning. That is why it is important that a person from every age group feels comfortable to learn from everybody else. Here comes the important part: the commitment and the perks. Essentially, you're not supposed to be giving a lot of time. It's just like an eighth of the time you spend sleeping. That's like barely an hour a day. You don't have to do homework. That's like one thing I really appreciate. And you'll be learning real life applications of the skills that you'll be learning here, and you'll get a lot of skills to boast about though. Why a QML learning circle? Essentially, QML to comprise is the intersection of machine learning and quantum computing. So in the QML learning circle, you'll be exposed to the QML algos, and you'll be able to apply it in real life. This is the one hour distribution. Essentially, we'll be beginning with a community engagement activities like QML scribbles and sprints. These are like some personalized games that we'll be creating. Then there'll be a recap of the previous sessions for somebody who has missed it. Then there comes the actual real struggle, the 30 minutes, where we'll be actually studying the content. Then we'll move to 10 minutes of debate and discussion, and then 5 minutes of chill and activities. And so these activities will decide if you're actually learning stuff. So it is like a replacement of homework, if that makes any sense. This is the daily plan. So essentially, every day you'll be learning from different sources, and there will be arrangements for learners from like every walk of life. We have decided a time that most people are free, so that makes sense. That's, I suppose, all. Any questions are most welcome. I'm freaking out right now.
Awesome. Don't worry. Don't worry. That was great. That was really nicely structured and well put together. Lovely. So, as you guys can see, so Learning Circle is democratized or self-paced learning, and people form their own learning paths. And now these learning paths essentially become a path for the future learners who are joining a community to pick and choose. Okay, so now should I take Bhumika's QML learning path or Damodaran's QML learning paths, right? Because eventually we'll have like multiple learning paths. So that's the idea. Now, so this really is gonna take its own pace and take its own time, because it really depends on the kind of people with whom you're starting this learning circle. Now, the second part is where a structured way of learning is going to happen. And this is what we call the fellowships within QCI. And I'm going to let KG take us through the fellowship structure and what we'll be covering and how long it usually takes. By the way, we are just finishing up our first fellowship, which started in November as a 12-week program, but then it has extended and extended, and we are at the final stages. Like the last session for quantum cryptography happens today, and QML will get over next week. So the next fellowship of QCI will start on March 2nd week, and KG will take us through the flow that we have structured for this. Yeah, over to you, KG.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. The fellowship program allows learners, enthusiasts to start with the fundamentals of quantum computing. Whenever a newbie joins or wants to learn quantum computing, they usually, like everyone, they will go to Google and then search. By seeing the volume of information just coming in front of the Google search engine, really will everyone. But in this QCI fellowship program, we structured in such a way that it will start with fundamentals, then the actual working quantum computers, then what are the existing architecture, then applications, then software framework that will be covered in the, yeah, I'm the please share my screen. Thanks for reminding. So the content will be delivered through a Moodle based LMS where you will see. So in quantum, there is a fellowship. If you go to fellowship, you will see these are the plans, 6 weeks plan, where you have introduction to, so these are the 6 weeks plan, introduction to quantum computing platforms, then mathematics for quantum computing, physics, then quantum computing algorithm. This is more than enough information for any newbie to get into quantum computing. After that, you can choose any one of the stream, quantum cryptography, quantum machine learning, or quantum finance. If you choose quantum machine learning, these are the topics will be covered in the quantum machine learning. Let me show that. Machine learning versus quantum machine learning, then software platforms are QML, then quantum computation for QML, then classical and then hybrid, then quantum machine learning models. So next week we are completing the QML first batch. Quantum cryptography already completed. Quantum fellowship basic foundational course that also completed. So this is what we are covering in the quantum machine learning and QCI fellowship programs. Over to you, Sam.
All right. So the URL will be sharing in a bit. The forms are not open yet. So like we said, like everything opens on March 1st. We really want to, but today, I mean, like the end of today's session, we'll have the forms at least open, but not the community access. Anyway, so right now we are in the second value proposition. So we talked about the meet component where we get to meet the right set of people in the right set of environment. And the second part is where we talked about learning circles, which is your self-paced thing, and fellowship, which is a little more structured way of getting to know to get into the quantum field. Right. Now, the third most important component is essentially the value proposition as a community that we offer is create, because none of these learnings are complete unless we get our hands dirty. So that's where the create component comes in. So there are multiple ways in which creation happens within the community. The first and the most effective way that we have seen till now is through apprenticeships. So apprenticeships are essentially a space where you shadow people who are working on certain set of projects. So we'll talk about the projects in a bit. For example, um, so let me quickly talk about quantum cryptography projects, and I'm gonna let it, KG talk about our QML projects that we are working on. So as an apprentice, these are the projects that you'll be working on when you join us. So it's important that you understand what kind of projects that we are working on. So in quantum cryptography, it's just two projects that we are working on, and both are very exciting ones. The first one is securing communications between drones. Now, what started off as drone communication securing eventually kind of spilled over to any IoT base, because at the end of the day, the drone is, if you look at the drone as a node, then it becomes an IoT secure communication protocol that we are developing. So we started off with understanding what are the existing ways in which these communications are being secured, and not just the network level communication security, but also at a packet level. Then if you're looking at packet level, then you have to think about visual cryptography applied on quantum computing. So that becomes one level of security. And the second level really comes down to something that swarms or the head nets in which the drones are organizing themselves. So there's a base station, there's a bunch of drones that are going out into your enemy territory. So really only two things can happen. One, they capture the device itself, which is the drone itself, or the second thing is they tap into the communication network. So now if they capture the drone, now again there are two things that could happen. The drone could be the leader drone of that particular swarm, which means it's collecting data from all these other drones, and then it becomes the leader, and then it communicates back to the base station. Now, this is the current way in which it's happening, but what we have proposed is a blockchain based network where the leaders are selected at random, and it's based on a distributed consensus model, so which means it enhances that part of the security. The second part is of course like tapping into that, right? So the tapping into that again has like multiple touch points. So we are talking about every aspect of touch point in which a data can leak, and even if someone gets hold of the data, can they make sense of the data? So that's where quantum cryptography comes in. So this is the first project, and the second project is breaking RSA. Now breaking RSA, we started off with that big goal of breaking RSA, of course, but then we realized there's a better way to think about this whole problem, which is to see if we can optimize the current way this breaking RSA or the Shor's algorithm is working, right? So we did a summary of breaking RSA where we did this comparative study of various Shor's algorithm implementation, at a qubit level, and then like with noisy qubits. Then we figured out like a couple of papers were talking about annealing as a method to make this factorization faster. So the goal here at breaking RSA, though of course the final destination is to break RSA algorithm, but then there are multiple pit stops along the way. And one of the first pit stop is to optimize the factors that goes into Shor's algorithm and see if we can make it faster and make it better or in a more optimized way. So these are the two projects that we are working on in quantum cryptography, and we have Mahima, who handles technical implementation, and the proposal or the new scheme that we have developed itself is spearheaded by Mahima. So anyone who joins us as an apprentice for the quantum cryptography team will essentially be working with this team on these two projects. Now, the current set of apprentices who we have, like we, I mean, of course, like you would need as many hands as possible. So the next set that we are gonna take in is gonna come from the first fellowship that just getting over, right? So when the quantum cryptography fellowship gets over, so we'll have a small exam, and then like we are going to be selecting 3 people from that set of fellows, and then they will start working on this project. So if you see, they met within the community and they're learning through a structured format, which is the fellowship, and eventually they get to work or create a new algorithm. So that kind of completes the whole loop. So this, I just spoke about the quantum cryptography part, but I would like KJ or Shadab to take up the quantum machine learning projects that we are working on, so that people know, the next set of apprentices would know what kind of projects that we'll be working on. Over to you, KJ.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Let me share again my screen. I would like to show the current projects being executed by our apprentice who came out of the previous fellowship and then apprentice program. In QML, we have object detection is one project, then bridge for Pennyland and a cube MRC, then medical image diagnosis. So I will request later, after completing these three, fourth one will be explained by Sada. Object detection, we all know that we can use YOLO for the classical object detection. But in quantum computing, we are planning something, we experimenting with non-maximum suppression for removing redundant object. Also the QUBO, quadratic unconstrained binary optimization. The effectiveness of this QUBO for finding the detection score or overlapping ratio. And similarly, all of us know that there is the Pennyline is the popular QML framework for a quantum machine learning framework, and it has interface for many other quantum hardware or simulator platforms like QCI, Microsoft QSharp, Amazon Bracket, and a few other simulators. But still, when we are building some solutions, we realized that some of the other interfaces also missing. For example, we have interface for PyTorch and TensorFlow. If there is another, even Keras also work easy, but some of the functions when we run, we are facing some issue. We thought about why don't we build our own bridge for connecting this Pennyland and our PML algorithm. That's what we are experimenting in the second one. Third one is we have not started, but it is in our proposal for building a machine reading comprehension. We know machine reading comprehension, something similar to Alexa or Siri or Google Home. Like that, that part, understanding the spoken word, become exponential if you try to include multiple languages. Whether that portion can be handled by a quantum algorithm, that was where experimenting. Because this kind of quantum MRC can address our native language, because we have multiple native languages. Those kind of multi-native language environment culture, this key MRC may be a solution. So that is still under consideration based on our team strength. Over a period of time, if we have more strength, we can experiment that one. So that would.
Sure, Kelly. So fourth one is medical image diagnosis using quantum computer. So here I'm like we are exploring on the Blakey's dataset, which is for the classification of breast cancer tumor. So like if we see using deep learning, there are already several state-of-the-art models existing, and people are making use of it. But here we are trying to explore and research on, like, if you're going to use quantum annulars or gate-based quantum computers, do we have any benefits over it? So obviously, I mean, a basic implementation for image classification problem set, for MNIST data set classification, the implementations are already there. But here we are trying to experiment with the Breakies data set, like what is the benefits of using quantum computer with traditional machine learning approach. Yeah.
So from our side, Sam, you can take
Right, lovely.
and stop me sharing.
Great. So in Create component, we just talked about quantum cryptography use cases and quantum machine learning use cases. Now, I invite Pawan to quickly tell us about the use case that we are working on in quantum finance category. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi guys. Audible, Sam?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So on the finance side, so if you have knowledge of quantum computing, you know that optimization is one class of problems that is most suitable to be solved using quantum computers or quantum computing, right? So that is a thing we have picked up, and quantum finance is we strong probably going to change the face of how finance is done all over the world. It's just a matter of time when quantum. In fact, right now, already companies like Goldman Sachs and all of them have already started experimenting with quantum finance. And we started this problem almost a year back. And you would be surprised to know that Goldman Sachs has picked up the exact same problem that we are working on. So we are well ahead of the curve. Unfortunately, that's a challenge as well, because we're well ahead of the curve. It's not easy to solve a problem that nobody else in the world is working on, right? So the problem that we are trying to address is we're trying to build a portfolio of instruments, stocks or options. I can't go into a lot of detail at the moment, but what I can tell you is we're trying to build a optimized portfolio, which will give us the best possible returns at the least possible risk by taking least possible risk. That's a holy grail of the investment world. So that's what we are trying to find. We're trying to find the holy grail of investment world. Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot, Pawan. So this is one of the most exciting areas right now, and if you guys have been following the whole GameStop surge and how a Reddit community kind of banded together and they were able to make the big Goliaths of the hedge fund world onto their knees, right? So now imagine the same thing, but they were able to do that in a classical computing world in which has a centralized way of control, which is SEC has control. almost every trading was happening through Robinhood app, which is again a centralized application. Now, if you imagine the same thing happening with a computational power of quantum computer, and that's happening in a decentralized environment in a crypto world, right? So it just like boggles our mind even just to think about the ramifications of even just like 0.001% optimization that you can bring to a portfolio, right? So it's a massive problem. And if you're remotely interested in finance, and if you're a professional in finance, I strongly urge that you join Pawan's team. And Pawan is one of the best guys to learn from, and yeah, to take this forward, right? So that kind of completes the three different types of use cases that we are working on quantum finance, quantum cryptography, and quantum machine learning. But the most exciting part comes up next, which is in July, we are planning an international quantum conference. I'm going to let Shadab take us through the conference narrative and the kind of support that you would need, because when you join the community, one of the roles that's on plate is essentially a community builder role, and the community builders are essentially going to help us in putting together this conference as well. So over to you, Shadab.
Sadam, we are muted.
Yeah.
Please
Shadab.
Sorry, I was on mute. So as Sam told, like we're planning to do an international level conference on quantum computing in July 2021. And you'd be surprised to know, like we have tried to cover the broader aspects of quantum computing, what all we can include. And for that, we need support from all of you. So if we talk about the conference tracks, so tracks we have classified into quantum hardware, quantum sensors, quantum cryptography, quantum software, where we include the companies like quantum as a software platforms as well. Then quantum machine learning, quantum post cryptography, quantum internet. So why we have divided the conference in these many tracks? Because there are different field in quantum computing itself in which people are working, right? There are several startups who are just focused on the quantum cryptography aspect. There are several startups who are just working with the machine learning problem statements. There are several startups who are just developing the sensors or the hardwares which can be used for build better quantum computers with less noise. And there are several companies like Strangework and QCI who are providing quantum services as a software. Like recently, Amazon has also launched Amazon Bracket, which you can access through the Amazon Web Service. So keeping that in mind, we have divided conference in these many tracks. So what we can expect out of these tracks is like there would be different workshops and tutorials for you all, which you can attend. And these workshops and tutorials will be the pre-conference event. So those who would be interested, they can register for the workshops and tutorials. We have just given an estimated number, like how many we will be able to host. Obviously, there is no limitation to that. We can invite as many speakers as possible. But seeing the, workforce and several other factors in mind, we have just we have suggested some numbers here. It might can increase more based on the participants' interest and the kind of interest we get from the audience and attendees like you. And also we are planning to at least have 20 plus sessions, which can include the sessions led by the industry professionals who are already working in the quantum domain, or even from the academicians who are working in the research domain. So they can also submit their talks or can propose some webinar topics with an abstract. Also, like the major thing we think of, like before getting into quantum computing, what after learning these skill sets, right? We're not very much sure how to take those skill sets in our career. What next we can do with it? Because quantum computing is still an emerging field, and people are trying to create the job opportunities. So we are planning to host several sessions with the companies who are hiring, so that they can talk about like what kind of skill sets they look for, how we can prepare a future ready job workforce ready in the quantum computing domain, and also people who are planning to pursue their higher studies like whether they plan to pursue masters in quantum computing or whether they're planning to pursue PhD or some research with any of the labs present across the globe, or with in the topics like quantum machine learning or quantum annealers or other n number of topics, right? So we are planning to host a separate few separate sessions for that, in which attendees and attendees can join those sessions and can get to know about those things. Also, we are planning to do a live hackathon. Like this will be also a pre-conference event in which there will be some problem statement given by a few of the industries, and there will be some wildcard entries as well. Like you will be open to work on some of your own problem, and that will be judged. And the results will be announced during the at the end of the conference. What else you can explore is like more from apart from the learning, if you can also expect to connect with the people like with the same interest, with the experts who are working in this domain and all. So these are the things. Apart from that, like I talked about the paper presentation side. So we are planning to start QCI publication as well, in which like whatever talks or whatever paper abstract we will be getting from the potential speakers, we will try to publish that in our journal, and also we will look for like if we can get publish these with any of our partner journals, so that it adds more credibility for the users who are going to present along with us. Also, there will be separate track for, I mean, there will be some product demonstration also of different quantum hardwares and quantum software tools which are available online, like what kind of applications we can build, how to use that application, or a normal talk around that. And also we are planning, like people are working in that domain, they have good idea, but they don't know how to take that as a business, right? How to start up, how to get the investments and all. So for that, we are planning certain sessions where the people who aspire to pitch their ideas to the investors, they can come and pitch to the investors. There will be several investors present from across the globe, like who will be partnering with us. So they can pitch, and if everything goes well, they can end up with some good amount of funding as well. So this is our end plan, like what is in for you. Now, next I will come to how you can contribute for it. Okay, so I mean, you can be part as the organizing committee. So in organizing committee, we have several roles. Like you can be part of the reviewing committee, who will be doing the submissions from different tracks. So you can choose your area of expert, like in what area you want to review the talks, and based on that, you can do that. So it will be your responsibility then to make sure the content or the proposals which we are getting are the state of the art, and it has some good takeaway for the attendees. Then we have publication and public relations committee, which will take care of the QCI publication and building the relation with several entities, like government entity and private entities across. Okay, and then there is sponsoring committee, whose main job will be like looking for the sponsors and making this conference a grand success. Because without the sponsors, we won't be able to take this conference to that international level, right? So we need some sort of support from the research labs and companies already in the quantum computing, or companies who are providing such kind of funding as well. Then next is like website management and communication committee. This will be the technical team who will be handling all the website development part and making sure there's no technical glitch from the from the point of like rolling out the conference announcement to call for proposal, and even during the event, like everything goes smooth. Then there are several. We need volunteers and committee members for pre-conference events and during conference events as well. So there will be certain set of people who will be making sure the workshop or tutorials which we are scheduling before the conference are going properly, and we have speakers aligned and everything is happening on time. So that will be their job role. And technical sessions committee will be looking over all the technical talks or webinars. Okay. Now coming to like this is for the organizing committee. Like if you want to be part of the committee, how you can be part of it, right? Next, like call for proposals. So we welcome everyone to propose tutorials, papers, and posters. Different tracks you've already seen. So if you have any idea, it doesn't matter like how big, how small it is. Feel free to pitch it to us, and we will evaluate it, and we will get back to you. It's not like after submission we will leave and directly reject. We will try, if there will be certain chance of improvement, we will get back to you and ask for the improvement so that we don't miss out anything very useful for the audience. So you can propose tutorials, you can propose research papers or white papers or literature papers. You can even present posters during the conference. So to join us as a volunteer, we have already created this form. I will post, Sam will post this volunteer form link in the chat. You can go and sign up from there to show your interest, and we'll get back to you. Further announcement will be done soon. So if you have any questions or queries regarding any of the part of the conference, you can reach out to us at quantumcomputingindia@gmail.com. Or if you have any suggestions, like any other track we can include, or if you have someone in mind, like any potential speakers whom we can reach out, please feel free to suggest to us over email or any other media channel. Okay. Thanks, Sam.
All right, lovely. As you guys can see, there's a lot of work that goes into, one, putting this conference together, but the conference is just small piece of the creation part. As a community, as we clearly talked about, three value propositions, right? So meet, learn, and create. Now, since you have covered all these three things, I'm going to quickly take you guys through. We'll send all the forms via email to everyone who has registered, because there's an apprenticeship form, there's a community builder form, there is this volunteer form for the conference. We'll send everything. You don't have to fill it up right now. So I want to quickly take you guys through our pricing model. Now, as most economists say, there's no such thing as free lunch, right? For anything of value to be created, you need capital, labor, and productivity. And productivity is like a horizontal factor because it affects both labor allocation and capital allocation. So we are structured along the same line. So if you are a student and if you don't have money, so the goal here is not to close the community off for anyone, right? That's not the vision or the goal. The goal here is to make sure that the community is self-sustaining. And for it to self-sustain and for everyone who is involved to be self-sustained, then it makes sense to have a plan like this. So let me quickly explain this. So as a member, among the meet, learn, and create value props, you get access to the meet and learn part. So there's an Indian pricing we'll put up as well soon. The $5 per month will be a little less for Indians, but let's quickly talk about the features that's involved, right? So for $5, I want to quickly talk about Rome research as well. You must have seen what KG was taking you through. So this is a tool called Rome research. So it kind of acts like our community's brain. And as soon as you join the community, you get a profile page like this. And within that, you keep logging your work. And why is this important? Because when the apprenticeship gets over or your engagement with us gets over, you get a certificate with a QR code, and that takes people to this profile page, which essentially acts like a proof of work, right? So it's not just certificate that says, hey, he got like an A grade or a C grade. That doesn't really mean a lot unless you go deeper into a particular person's effort that has gone into getting there, right? So this profile page will be given. That's the first touch point with QCI. So the moment you join us, the first thing is your profile page gets created, and any project that you get work on, right? So let's say you're part of apprenticeship and you're part of quantum cryptography, the team page, you get access to the team page as well. So if you're part of Break RSA, anything that's related to Break RSA will be over here, and then the team that's involved in that. So this acts like the brain of a community. So the team page and the profile page, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, of course, like we have a very active Discord server, Quantum, and every fellowship, if you're part of Meet, Learn, Create, so everything has its own category, and then there are roles assigned, there are proper guidelines that are assigned. So that's the next thing. And third part is, of course, like access to our learning circles, our quarterly newsletter, which Sadab was kind of like, pointing towards, and the YouTube videos, like we have like unlisted videos as well. So you'll get access to that. And the patron part is where you now like really trust the community and you want to grow with the community. So you get to meet, learn, and create or build as well. So everything in member tier and access to the paid gigs. So there are enough instances where we ran a hackathon specific to a particular startup who wanted to hire people who has either a good grasp of multiphysics and then no grasp of quantum, or the other way around, right? And we did this 5-6 weeks of hackathon. At the end of the day, people got paid gigs as well out of that, right? And on top of that, you get to open your own learning circle and you get to teach as well. Now, the community huddle is something that we kind of missed. Let me quickly take you guys through that. So, the community huddle as a concept, we have put together that because the moment like you enter the community and then the like multiple streams that are happening, either you're part of a fellowship or you're part of this qbytes team or you're part of quantum cryptography, and within that you're working on drone communication. So it kind of becomes like this big university, and you kind of get lost and you don't feel like you're part of this larger community. So that's where we have this community huddles right now. Every month we plan to meet once with every member of QCI. So the learning circles, though it happens every day and fellowship happens during the weekend, the community huddle happens once a month. And that once a month, how we are kind of gamifying it is in the way that if you're a part of a particular learning circle and you're growing, every month one team is chosen and they're given money. Like we are thinking about 10,000 rupee as a prize money just for one team. It's all or nothing. So the team that like pushes or like that has gone forward more compared to the other teams, that team wins that for that particular month. Now, so community huddle, you get access to the community huddle as a patron. And like I was saying, we don't want to close up the community because someone is not able to pay money. So if you're not able to pay money, you're like compensating with the effort that you're going to be putting in, right? So what kind of effort? So apprentice is very clear. If you're an apprentice, you're going to be working on one of the projects that the community is working on, because you're going to be shadowing people who are working on these projects. You'll directly, it's kind of like someone holding your hand and saying, teaching you the tricks of the trade. That's what an apprentice is. And the other aspect, so if you're not going to be putting in effort on the technical aspect of things, the other aspect is the community builder part, right? So the community builder part, like Pradeep, who will take us through this, which is there's a lot of operations involved. There's a lot of knowledge management that's happening. There's event management. So if you're putting up a conference, just the conference has so many activities that are involved, right? So as a community builder, you will learn the art and science behind community building. It's not just having a Zoom session or having a WhatsApp group or having a Telegram channel, right? Community is much more than that, and we really want to pioneer in that. Pradeep, like, please correct me, and I'm like, if I missed anything, please, take us through this.
Yeah. So what the community builder is, right? When we talk about that, what comes to mind is somebody who comes together and start looking at from building the community from scratch. And what we are looking at it from is the same way. Like tech is one part of it, science is one part of it. But when it comes to quantum computing India, we are looking at from policy making and as well as art making as well, trying to bring in the quantum computing to the masses with the terms of bringing it into the languages that are native to Indian community, not just the English language or not just the scientific languages. So when we talk about all of that, there is a lot of pre-work required to build all of that. So the tech side will be bringing in all the tech portion of it. The scientist will bring in all the other pieces of it. But then without the support of the community builder, it cannot stand. The building cannot stand, right? So that is where the whole piece of community building comes into picture. So a community builder, whoever is part of this team, will be looking into our qbyte sections. Will be creating content or curating content for our social media profiles. We'll be looking at ways where we can channelize our resources in a better way for conferences and learning circles, trying to see bringing in newer sections for our community.
Lovely. Awesome. Thank you, Pradeep. So I forgot about this content side and quantum computing in India. So which means we are focused on creating regional language content as well. So we soon will be starting, like basics of quantum, and like the videos will go out in like Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Hindi, who whatever our community is made of, right? So if there are people who can create it in Badga, which is like a dialect in Uti, so if there's someone who is willing to do that, then we have to do that as well, right? So the vision is very clear. The vision is to spin off all these small projects that are happening within the community into its own startup. That's the ultimate vision. And for that to happen, like as a community, because it could become very daunting with the amount of information that's out there around quantum and the amount of bullshit that's around quantum as well, right? So it's very important to cut through the noise and see very clearly where we are going, work with the right set of people with the incentives correctly aligned. So that essentially is what we are trying to build. And we will now open up the floor for questions. So if you guys have any questions, and available for members unlisted. Yes. Huh. If you have any questions that you have already put up on the chat and it's not answered, please let us know. Oh, lovely. Oh, I forgot one more thing. This is a very like a pet project or like baby project. So this is called QCIX. Now QCIX is kind of like your TEDx, right? So the X could be anything. It could be a company. It could be a college. So let's say you're part of PSG, which is a college in Bangalore, in Coimbatore, in Tamil Nadu. So you can start QCI PSG, and then we have this whole backend support will be given by us because we have the knowledge base, we have the processes that are set on Rome, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And there is a Discord server that's already up and running, and all you have to do is create a private channel over there and like get your company or college team into that. Now we are testing it out. So we are in talks with two colleges. So in March, we'll be presenting it within two colleges, and then we'll take students from there and we'll see if they're able to run that properly, right? So that's where community builder comes in. So if Pradeep like takes care of our entire operation, so the community builders essentially report to Pradeep. And then like if there are 5 QCI access running, then there should be like 5 people who are able to support these babies that are coming out, right? Baby communities or micro communities that's coming out as well. Thanks for reminding, Pradeep.
Yeah.
All right. Right. Yeah. Cool. Right. So there are like no one is denying that there's free content out there, right? Like we have all learned like that only. It's not about information being free or not. It's really about are you able to like take that knowledge and being able to create something out of that, right? That's where a community comes in. There are hundreds of free and open source books and videos and knowledge sources out there. No one is stopping, and no, like we respect that. We also put out free resources out there, but if you want to sustain as a community, it's very important that you fix this at the early stage. Here's one for keeping track of what's going on. Yes, great. Lovely. Thanks a lot, Nathan. Yeah, Nathan. Right. Lovely. Cool. Guys, if you have any questions, you can ask us right now. If not, we'll be sending across a mail with different forms. So choose, you want to be an apprentice or a volunteer, or a community builder, or a member or a patron. So choose whatever is right for you. We are in this together. Like we want to make sure that everyone gets access to this one way or the other. Either they're paying for that with their money or with the labor, right? That's way. What are some of the top startups in the QC world? Why am I streaming content? Someone's asking, will we be making content in Spanish and Mandarin? I don't know. Maybe if there's someone within the community who's willing to take that up, of course we can do that. Right? Nothing. What are some of the top startups in QC world? Can we apply to all? where I would suggest don't, because like I said, it's very tempting to, you would think that you can do everything, but just have focus and do one thing, right? And then like once that is going on autopilot, then you can always like add more on top of that. Okay. Top startups will write a blog about it. Like Qbytes will eventually become a video. So from next month onwards, the current Qbytes, which is the short form content around the different news that's happening around quantum computing, that will become a video of a little more depth analysis of a particular industry or a particular startup or a particular news article that has come out, be it on the policy side. And that's one big area that we are focusing on, because it's very important that we as a community voice our opinion, because no, India is nowhere in the global map in terms of the amount of money that is going into quantum computing research, right? 8,000 crore on paper was promised last year, but the way it has been distributed, no one knows how it has been distributed. Two, in 2021 budget, there's no talk of that, right? So we as a community have to voice our opinion that, hey, this is important, that like you put your money into this. And the policy side of things is also something that we'll be focusing on this year, now that the fellowships and learning circles are like going on autopilot. Becomes important for us to voice our opinions and get what we need. Government is essentially serving for us, which means we ask for it, right? Great. Yeah, thanks. So if someone is interested in the policy side of things, please, we'll be working together on that as well. Yeah, I think we have covered everything. We'll wait for like another. Great that we were able to finish this within 1 hour. On March 5th, Pawan will be giving a talk at IEEE, and the students from IEEE can join us from there. Those companies are not startups, but yeah. Right.
Quick comment, if you have a second.
Yep.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, I'm in Silicon Valley and I've done some events before, and this is a great idea. And I totally agree with you. India is like the only major country that's not on the QC map in terms of government support.
Yeah.
And I think that'll change rapidly. And what you're doing is going to be a catalyst for that. One thing I can help you with is sponsors. Really, I've got them for my events. Back before COVID, we had physical events. You had to pay for a room, for food and all that. So I've got some companies lined up. Matter of fact, some contacted me and said, when's your next event?
Okay.
So, and other ways I can help you in terms of getting an audience from outside India. But there's no, who do I get a hold of? How do I reach you guys? What's the best way for us to connect after this?
Right. So it's quantumcomputingindia@gmail.com.
Also, Nathan, we are connected over LinkedIn, so I will share the information with you there.
I'm sorry, say that again?
We are connected over LinkedIn as well, Nathan, so I will share the information with you over LinkedIn, and from there we can take it forward.
On LinkedIn under what? Quantum Computing India?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
from
post,
there
can you post the LinkedIn just so we can make sure I have it? Thank you.
Sure.
All right.
All right, thanks. I'll follow up with you. It's really glad I attended, and it's really good you guys did this. I'm confident it's going to do well.
Lovely. Let's talk, Nathan. Thanks a lot for letting us know that you can help. Very important. Lovely. So I put the Gmail ID and our LinkedIn profile on our Zoom chat. Please have a look at it, Nathan, and make a note of that.
I got it. Now you'll hear from me in a couple days. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other thoughts? Anything that you need to be addressed, or we as a community have to be doing and we are not doing? Please let us know. Terrell just joined. Yeah, we feel like it's we are already doing a lot of things, but if you still think that, hey, there's something, this small thing that you should be doing, you're not doing, let us know, right? And just about anything. So we'll wait for like another 60 seconds. If there are no other questions, we'll finish this off. The recording will be sent to you guys and the forms will be sent to you guys. Please choose what's right for you. And like I said, it's very tempting to be part of everything, but stick to look at a larger horizon and like choose that path, right? Great. Terrell, thanks for joining. We are just finishing up. Do you have any plans of collaborating with IBM? Right. Shadab would be the right person to talk about it. What's the scope in hardware? Okay, nice question. With IBM, not at a direct level, but when we are doing the conference, we'll be closely working with them. And we had a few IBM's VPs who came and presented to our community when they were, at the initial stages of Quizzkit. Not just IBM, right? So IBM is one company. We also talk to research organizations. So ISC, RRI, Raman Research Institute. And on the startup side, like QNU Labs, Anandita ma'am has come and presented how QNU Labs is thinking about, or like how they are like able to come out with new business models, right? Because that's very important in this field. So one of the things that they do is randomization as a service, or you know sorry, chaos as a service. Basically, they have a QRNG generator, but then like, how do you make that as a SaaS business, right? So that was very interesting, and so that's on startup side. So big companies like IBM and research organizations, of course, right? So it's happening. Thanks, Terrell. What's the scope in hardware, because we are a community and we don't have a lot of resources at our disposal, of course, to set up some big lab with respect to hardware. We are limited in terms of, the current apprentice who are working on a quantum cryptography project, the drone project, essentially joined us on the hardware level, right? And hardware kind of cuts across all different use cases that we talked about, right? So we try to stick to that level rather than, at least for now, given the limitations that we have, given the constraints that we have in terms of labor and capital, we are sticking to only that level of hardware engagement. Yeah. Is there something like Kaggle for QCI? Not yet. Shrishti, yes, not yet. But the community huddle will eventually kind of become that. Right now, it's on Rome is our knowledge thing. Discord is for communication, and we have an open source GitHub. GitHub account. Yeah, shut up. I hope that's up and running.
Yeah, that's it. So
Right.
if anyone is interested in contributing some of the projects and looking for the contributors, they can.
Correct. Yeah. So Shadab, I think 2 days ago, Shadab released his QRNG generator program as well. So that's available if you want to contribute there. More than welcome. Yeah. Is that okay? Okay. Right. So we'll send it to you, Ravi. The course rate is in Indian rupee only, I guess. Yeah. The fellowship. Yeah. So every detail will be sent in one email. Don't worry about it. Even this recording will be sent. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Okay. Let's see quickly if there's something on YouTube as well. All right. Not really. Lovely. Cool. So I think we have addressed everything. Thanks a lot for joining. We as a community are just getting started, and the conference is something that we are really excited about. That's going to happen in July. Terrell, I'll reach out to you separately for the conference related things. Expect a mail from me. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. That's it from our end. You can always reach out to us on quantumcomputingindia@gmail.com or quantumcomputingindia.com. You go there, fill up the forms as well. And thanks, Bhumika. That was a great presentation. Yes. Terrell, yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah. Great. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to be.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, KG.
Thanks,
Shadab,
Vinny.
Pawan, and Nathan for offering your help.
Thanks to all.
Thanks
No
everyone
problem.
for joining the call.
We'll follow up with you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Good
you.
work.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm an AI practitioner. Would like to know how can I contribute to grow this community? Jishnu will reach out to you. KG, please note Jishnu.
Vishnu, can you share your email ID to me
Yeah.
in
All right.
private message? Thanks, Vikas.
Oh, Vikas is here. Great. Thanks, Vikas. Quantum cryptography, Asapna, Rajesh, I see you. So we have a session at 10 o'clock today. Don't forget.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sam.
Hmm.
Thanks, and thanks, Rav and Pradeep.